Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a story that's maybe less about typical ghosts and more about the ghosts within us. We've got this really fascinating source, a narrative called The Girl in the Locked Attic. Pretty evocative title. And look, this isn't just, your average spooky tale aiming for jump scares. It feels much deeper. It really digs into how our curiosity, that basic human drive, can sometimes lead us down paths we never expected. It explores themes like confinement, fear, what happens when secrets, hidden truths finally surface. So our mission today is to unpack this thing. Not just what happened in this creepy old house, but what it might reveal about us.
Exactly. And what's really compelling, I think, is how it uses those classic horror elements, the old house, the hidden secret, but uses them as a way to explore these deeper psychological themes. So we're going to look at how the suspense builds, layer by layer, and the revelations, they stick with you. It's more than just genre fiction, really.
Okay, let's get into it then. Picture this. 16-year-old Emily. Her family moves into this old Victorian mansion. 3 stories, peeling paint, vines creeping up the walls. The classic fixer-upper, right? In this town, Eldridge Hollow. But right away, the house itself feels alive, almost like a character. Its windows are described like dark eyes, and the air inside, thick. Not just dust, but this weird mix. Lavender, okay, but also something metallic, like old blood.
But that immediate sensory detail is so important, isn't it? It's not just scene setting, it's creating an atmosphere. That specific mix, the domestic lavender with something sinister like old blood, it throws you off balance right away. It tells you this isn't just an old house. There's history here, maybe dark history. It grounds the weirdness in something you can almost, smell, makes it feel unsettlingly real.
Totally. And that very first night, thunder outside, Emily hears it. A soft scratching noise. Like tiny claws on wood coming from upstairs. She tries to brush it off, old house sounds. But something feels off. Now, the story makes a point about Emily's personality here. She couldn't resist a mystery. She's apparently watched every horror movie, every true crime doc out there. Why is that detail about her character so key, do you think?
Oh, it's brilliant characterization. Tells us immediately who she is. She's wired to investigate, not ignore. That curiosity, which we usually see as a good thing, right? Learning, discovering. Here, it's framed as a potential vulnerability. In horror stories, often the main character's defining trait becomes the very thing that pulls them into the danger. Her fascination isn't just a passive interest, it's the engine driving the whole plot forward. She's going to engage with this mystery, not run from it.
Right, so the next morning, parents are out running errands. House to herself. Perfect opportunity. She heads up to what she assumed was the main attic. But she quickly realizes, wait, the scratching wasn't coming from here. So she's pacing this 3rd floor hallway, and then she sees it, a faint outline in the wallpaper, almost hidden like it's part of the floral pattern. She pushes, and it gives way a little. It's a small door, locked, no taller than her waist, a deliberate concealment. What's the effect of finding something hidden like that, right in plain sight?
That detail disguised as part of the floral pattern is such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? It suggests that secrets aren't always buried deep. Sometimes they're hidden right there, part of the everyday, just overlooked. You need to be looking closely, actively searching to even notice them. And the fact that it's deliberately hidden, locked, it just amps up the mystery. It makes the space behind it feel forbidden, significant, like opening it is crossing some kind of line.
And naturally, there's a key. Has to be right. She finds it in an old dresser, tucked away in a hidden spot. Rusted key, faded ribbon. She puts it in the lock. Here's that click. Door creaks open. Narrow stairs spiraling up into darkness. You can just imagine her. Flashlight beam cutting through the dust. She goes up, and at the top, in this hidden room, smaller than the main attic, slanted ceilings, she finds a girl, Lydia, about her age. Pale, tangled, dark hair, huge frightened eyes, and she's chained. Chained to the floor with an iron shackle. Wearing this tattered old white dress. Looks like it's from another century.
Wow. That reveal, after all that buildup, it's designed for maximum impact. And the description of the room itself, barren. Just a thin mattress, a chamber pot, old food scraps, it's stark. It paints this immediate, horrifying picture of long-term suffering, neglect. It shocks you out of the exploring an old house vibe. Suddenly, there's a human cost right there. It makes Emily's situation and ours as the reader instantly more intense, more horrific. It grounds everything in this really visceral human tragedy.
Yeah. And Lydia, her voice is like a croak. She begs Emily for help. But then, immediately, this warning. If you free me, you have to promise. Don't let it out. She says her family locked her up because she was cursed by The thing that follows me.
That warning is such a crucial pivot point. It's not me, it's him, the thing that follows me. It just flips the whole script, doesn't it? You might initially think, okay, this is about historical abuse, terrible family secrets. But that line, it injects the supernatural right there. It tells us the real danger isn't necessarily the people who locked her up. It's whatever she brought with her. Suddenly, the stakes are much, much higher. It's not just a rescue. It's potentially unleashing something else.
And Emily's first thought is practical. Call the police. But of course, no phone signal. Convenient, right? And then that curiosity kicks in again. Mixed with maybe some modern skepticism, she kind of dismisses Lydia's talk about demons, figures she's just delirious from dehydration, rationalizes it, finds a hammer hidden nearby, smashes the locked freezer. What is that moment, ignoring the warning? Tell us.
It's that classic horror trope, isn't it? Hubris. Tragic hubris. Emily represents that modern, rational mindset. She sees what looks like superstition, fear, and dismisses it based on logic. Her core trait, that curiosity we talked about, combined with skepticism, leads her down this path. She thinks she's doing the right compassionate thing, but by ignoring the specific warning, the ancient knowledge maybe, she opens the door. Literally and metaphorically. It really speaks to that human tendency to think we understand everything, to underestimate forces that play by different rules.
And the fallout is instant. The air chills. Whispers seem to come from the corners of the room like wine through cracked glass. The very moment Lydia is free is the moment something else gets loose. Lydia starts eating ravenously, food Emily brought up, and she tells her story. It was 1897. Her father was a minister. Some kind of spirit, a demon they called it, attached itself to her. It fed on fear, got stronger. The family thought locking her away would contain it, but it didn't die. It just slept, waited, until now.
That detail about it, feeding on fear, is critical. It establishes the entity's nature, its operating system, you could say. It's not just randomly destructive, it's parasitic. It needs human emotion, negative emotion, to thrive. This directly links the spooky stuff outside to the psychological state inside the characters. It also foreshadows how it might eventually be fought, not just physically, but by confronting fear itself. Gives the entity a kind of predatory intelligence.
Yeah. And things escalate fast in the house after that. Objects moving on their own, a vase flies off a shelf, shatters, whispers everywhere. Emily's younger brother, Max, starts complaining about cold spots in his room, wakes up with scratches, says a shadow man visited him in his sleep. How does this escalation work in the story?
The way the attacks evolve is key. It starts subtle whispers, cold spots. Then it moves to physical stuff, like the vase. Then psychological torment, Max's nightmares, the scratches. It shows the entity isn't static. It's growing stronger, becoming bolder, more invasive. It's actively increasing the pressure on the family. Moving from general unease to direct, personal attacks, it really ramps up the dread, making them realize this isn't just house-settling noises. It's hostile. It's intelligent.
Emily goes back to Lydia, confronts her in that hidden attic room.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you warn me properly? And Lydia admits something chilling. She says the entity made her forget parts. That it's like a parasite feeding on our fears.
Yeah.
And then she drops this bombshell. It grows with every release of emotion, anger, terror. Your curiosity fed it first. Oof, that's huge, right?
Oh, absolutely huge. It's a devastating twist because it implicates Emily directly. Her curiosity, that thing that defines her, that maybe even felt like a virtue. It was the initial fuel for this thing. It underlines the insidious nature of this entity. It doesn't just attack, it manipulates. It uses your own nature, your own emotions against you. It makes the horror incredibly personal for Emily. She's not just a victim. She was unknowingly the catalyst. There's no escaping that. It's not just a monster in the house. It's tangled up with her own actions.
Okay, so Emily's desperate now. She hits the internet, starts researching the house, the town's history, and she finds it, her newspaper clippings. The Hawthorne family, 1897. The daughter Lydia mysteriously disappeared. There were rumors back then, occult rituals, maybe a seance gone wrong that summoned something. And the story goes the family sealed Lydia away before they all died in, quote, accidents. How does finding this historical proof change things?
That confirmation is vital. It anchors the supernatural events in a documented, tragic past, makes it feel more real somehow. It's not just their haunting. It's part of a dark cycle connected to this house, this place. It gives it historical weight. It suggests a kind of grim inevitability, maybe, that they've stumbled into something old and recurring. It answers some questions, but also raises more, deepening the mystery and the sense of danger. They're not the first. Will they be the last?
And right as she's reading this stuff, connecting the dots, the entity goes straight for her. Her computer screen glitches out, a bigger shadow forms in the room, glowing red eyes, and then it starts whispering her secrets, her deepest fears, things she's never told anyone, guilt about a childhood accident involving her brother, feeling lonely in the new town. Why attack her psychologically like that? What's the impact?
That's the entity playing its strongest card. It feeds on fear, right? So what better way than to tap directly into her personal fears, her guilt, her insecurities? It makes the threat utterly invasive. It's not just in the house, it's in her head. It knows her vulnerabilities. It transforms the fight from just surviving a haunted house to confronting her own inner demons, weaponized against her by this external force. The terror becomes deeply intimate, inescapable.
Nightmare fuel. So that night, it escalates again. The entity possesses Max, the little brother. His eyes glaze over and he starts climbing towards the attic, zombie-like. Emily races after him, finds Lydia already up there, chanting in some ancient language. Lydia shouts the plan. "We have to bind it again. Use the key. Seal the door with blood." Emily grabs that old rusted key, cuts her own palm, smears blood on the lock, all while the entity is going wild, slamming doors, shattering windows, manifesting as this huge figure of swirling darkness. What's the deal with the key and the blood again?
The return to the key and the blood feels very ritualistic, symbolic. It connects directly back to the original act of sealing Lydia away. It suggests that to undo or redo an ancient pact or a powerful binding like that requires a similar kind of sacrifice or offering. Blood is often used in folklore and horror as a symbol of life force, of connection, of sealing a deal, using the original key stained with fresh blood. It's like performing the counter ritual, trying to reverse the unleashing with a new personal sacrifice.
And then another twist from Lydia.
Yeah.
Mid-chaos, she confesses the full truth. Back in 1897, she wasn't just locked away, she actually made a pact with the entity to survive. She became its vessel, its host. But Emily's kindness in freeing her of that act had somehow weakened the bond between Lydia and the entity. How does that change our view of Lydia?
Oh, that complicates Lydia enormously, doesn't it? Suddenly, she's not just the pure victim. She made a desperate choice, a compromise with darkness to survive. It adds this layer of moral ambiguity. Was she entirely controlled? Did she have agency? It makes you question everything she's done or said up to this point. And it raises fascinating questions about survival. What lengths will people go to? And can an act of simple kindness, like Emily freeing her, actually disrupt such a dark pact? For better or worse.
So how do they actually fight it? Lydia yells the key, face your fears, deny it power. And Emily, somehow, finds the courage. She starts reciting her fears out loud, voicing them. The guilt, the loneliness, everything the entity whispered. And as she does, the shadow thing shrieks. It seems to shrink. Lydia joins in, confessing her own regrets from her long imprisonment. This is the core of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the real aha moment. The solution isn't an exorcism or a magic spell in the traditional sense. It's psychological. It reveals the entity's true nature. Its power wasn't its own. It was borrowed, siphoned from their unacknowledged fears. By naming the fears, bringing them into the light, they starve the parasite. They take back the power. It's such a potent message, really, that confronting our inner darkness, our vulnerabilities head on is often the most powerful way to diminish their hold over us. It turns weakness into a weapon.
So together, they manage to force the entity back towards that hidden doorway. Emily slams the blood-smeared key into the lock, turns it. The shadow gets sucked back into whatever void it came from. The attic door slams shut, and the outline on the wallpaper gone, vanished, like it was never there. Silence falls. And then, Lydia. She rapidly ages, decades, a century in moments, crumbles to dust, her spirit finally free, at peace. Downstairs, Emily's family tries to rationalize it all away. Gas leak, mass hysteria, collective hallucination. But Emily knows. She boards up that whole third-floor hallway entrance, changed forever. Phew. Okay, so let's unpack the meaning here. We started with curiosity, right? Exploring an old house. Seems simple. But Emily found so much more. A century of trapped pain, this parasitic entity feeding on fear, and ultimately a path to confronting her own deepest fears.
Yeah, the story does a masterful job of weaving the external horror of the entity, the haunted house, with the internal horror of guilt, fear, loneliness. It really strongly suggests that what gives these negative forces, whether literal demons or just our own struggles, their power is often our refusal to acknowledge them. The secrets we keep, the fears we suppress. The entity wasn't just a monster, it acted like a mirror, reflecting and amplifying the very things Emily was trying to hide from herself.
And it leaves us with this fascinating question about curiosity itself, doesn't it? Her curiosity is what kicked this whole nightmare off. It unleashed the danger. But it was also her persistence, her drive to find the truth, that ultimately led to figuring out how to contain it. What do you make of that paradox?
That's a really interesting tension. It raises that question for us, doesn't it? In your own life, how often does discovery about the world, about other people, about yourself come with strings attached? Unforeseen consequences, sometimes good, sometimes bad, often a mix. And how do you handle those revelations when they force you to look at things, maybe uncomfortable things you hadn't seen before?
Right at the end, Emily warns the new buyers subtly. Watch out for curious urges. But maybe those urges, if we handle them with courage, with a willingness to actually face whatever we uncover, maybe they're exactly what we need to confront the hidden rooms, the locked attics in our own lives. Something to think about. Well, thank you for diving deep with us on this one. Hopefully it gave you some interesting things to consider, and maybe a little bit of a chill too. Stay curious, but maybe, keep a metaphorical rusted key handy just in case.